Skinamarink is a 2022 experimental horror film written and directed by Kyle Edward Ball. It's his directorial debut, and what a hell of a debut it is. The film stars a lot of people you've most likely never heard of, including Lucas Paul, Rose Tetrolt, hopefully I'm saying that right, Ross Paul, and Jaime Hill. This might be kind of a hard film to review, even more so than a Lynch film, surprisingly, given that a lot of what's going on as well as a lot of the context behind it is kind of vague, but I am going to try my best. The premise of Skinamarink revolves around two young kids, Kevin and Kaylee, played by Lucas Paul and Daily Rose Tetrolt, who wake up one morning to find both of their parents missing, all the exit points in the house mysteriously vanishing, as well as other items. As they try to piece together what is happening, the two try their best to stick together and try to get through this growing nightmare. But things take a turn for the worst when a strange voice from upstairs instructs them to come up. I will admit the story did drag it sometimes. Like, there were a lot of moments where it literally felt like nothing was happening. So that admittedly dragged the film for me and had me checking the time. I understand the director was doing that to build tension, but there were times when it wasn't really clear what exactly I was supposed to be scared of. However, I will say that despite the occasional slog, this film was very immersive in such a haunting way. Like I said, a lot of details surrounding everything going on are extremely vague, so you're forced to pay extra attention just so you can piece together this puzzle that has been presented to you. I feel like the story might be saying something about child neglect, given that it seems like the children have to take care of themselves and really even leave each other's side. And the fact that the parents are gone and the boy even asks where they are could be a tiny little metaphor for absent ones who aren't in their children's lives very often. There's not much else to say about the plot other than I feel like it's one of those things that will change the more times you watch this movie, since all the subtle details scattered throughout probably won't be caught by first time viewers. I give Promise an A-. Kind of slow in some areas, but picks up in the second half. Next is acting. For not appearing in a lot of stuff, aside from the mother actress, everyone in this film was pretty good. Granted, you couldn't really see them do anything. A lot of it had to do with the kind of feeling they put into their performance, which ultimately made the film a lot more haunting. I think part of that had to do with the fact that not only was this horrible, weird-ass shit happening to children, but the fact that the fear these two child actors exhibit is genuinely disturbing, since it just sounds so legitimate. And one of them even cries, and actually sounds hurt, which ultimately makes you feel bad and grow more attached to the characters and hope that this nightmare ends for them. I give acting an A+. It really did feel real in some areas. And now directing. I could understand that Kyle Edward Ball might have been trying to create an overwhelming sense of dread by having some scenes progress slowly in order to build the tension. But it kind of didn't work for me here, only because for some of those moments I wasn't really sure what the threat was, and sometimes it just stays on that specific scene for a long ass time. Like the scene with the cartoon on the television, the one with the that kind of sound effect. However, despite these nitpicks, the film did have a very sinister and extremely eerie mood throughout. Kyle touches upon some very unique kinds of horror, some of which are fears a lot of us might have had when we were kids, such as our parents going missing, dark spaces, etc. And it also touches on another subject that I surprisingly don't see tackled in horror films too often, aside from maybe It and A Nightmare on Elm Street and maybe the Spectre comics, but I don't know, those are... Can you consider those horror? Anyway, I'm talking about reality manipulation, and the way Kyle tackled it worked so well because it was just so unpredictable, which in turn made it seem even more dangerous, and it literally felt like it was working against the children, putting them in even more sinister situations. I also love how you never exactly figure out who is controlling everything, because that leaves it open to so many things as to what could possibly be causing it all. There's also some genuinely scary imagery and some surprisingly good jump scares, like the scene with the toy phone. And the fact that Ball shot it like an old home movie also increases the creepy tone of the film, given that it felt more genuine that way and helped to create a very surreal feel. I give directing an A minus. Overall, Skinamarink is a film that will either have you sleep from boredom or on the edge of your seat. I found myself doing both. Well, not falling asleep, but I did get bored from time to time, and I it did take me a while to gather my thoughts on this film, only because how vague and it truly was in terms of plot. But the genuinely scary atmosphere, haunting imagery, and interesting, unique premise more than make up for it. I can definitely see this becoming more popular as time goes on, and even becoming a cult classic in the same vein as The Shining, just because of how subjective the film's themes and massive message might be to some. I give Skinamarink an A. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and sub for more content.